So students, we are back again. The second video, I hope you remember. In the first video in which we had discussed some words, and I hope you have written those words in your notebooks, and you will construct sentences, and you must have found meanings and written those meanings in your notebooks. And today we are going to do the reading part about the king, the wise king, a good person. So it's very important to be good, being good, doing good to others. You feel nice, and all love you. So this king, he was very wise, but he was very worried about three questions that were troubling him. The right time to do something, the right thing to do, and the right person to deal with. So these three things were troubling him. And he decided to take help from the wise men. And we are going to find out how he found the answers. And what he did. The thought came to a certain king that he would never fail if he knew three things. These three things were: what is the right time to begin something? Which people should he listen to? What is the most important thing for him to do? The king therefore sent messengers throughout his kingdom, promising a large sum of money to anyone who would answer these three questions. Many wise men came to his kingdom, but they all answered questions differently. He was not happy. In reply to the first question, some said the king must prepare a timetable and then follow it strictly. He should prepare a timetable and follow it strictly. Only in this way, they said, could he do everything at its proper time if he had a timetable. Others said that it was impossible to decide in advance about the right time for doing something. The king should notice all that was going on around him, avoid foolish pleasures, and always do whatever seemed necessary at the time. Yet others said that the king needed a council of wise men who would help him act at the proper time. This was because one man would find it impossible to decide correctly without help from others, the right time for every action. But then the others said that there were some things which should be done urgently. These things could not wait for the time or decision of the council. In order to decide the right time for doing something, it is necessary to look into the future. I hope you know future. Looking in the future, not present, but future. And only magicians could do that. We don't know the future. They said only magicians. The king therefore would have to go to the magicians. In their answers to the second question, some said that the people most important and necessary to the king were his counselors. Others said the priest. A few others chose a doctor. And yet others said that the soldiers were the most necessary or important beings. To the third question, some said science, others chose fighting, and yet other religious worship important thing to do. As the answers to his questions were so different, the king was not happy, not satisfied, and gave no reward. Instead, he decided to seek the advice of a certain hermit, the sage, who was widely known for his wisdom. He was known for his wisdom. You can see here in the picture the king and going to a hermit. The hermit lived in a wood. I hope you remember, wood forest, which he never left. He saw no one but simple people, and so the king put on ordinary clothes. He decided not to go in the same clothes. Before he reached the hermit's hut, the king left his horse with his bodyguard and went on alone. As the king came near the hermit's hut, he saw the hermit digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king and continued digging. He did not dig, he just ignored him. The hermit was old and weak And as he worked, he breathed heavily. The king went up to the hermit and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I need most? And what affairs are the most important? The hermit listened to the king, but did not speak. He went on digging. You are tired, said the king. Let me take the spade with which he was digging and work in your place. Thanks, said the hermit, giving the king his spade. Then he sat down on the ground. When the king had dug 2 beds, he stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit gave no answer. He stood up, stretching out his hand for the spade and said, Now you rest and let me work. But the king did not give him the spade, continued to dig. 1 hour passed. Time flew. Then another. Still hermit did not give the answer. The sun was going down behind the trees. Evening was fast approaching. And at last the king stuck the spade into the ground and said, I came to you, wise men, for an answer to my questions. You can give me no answer, tell me so, and I will return home. But before hermit could say anything, give answer to the king, he said, Here comes someone running, look who's coming. Now the second part. The king turned round and saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was flowing, oozing out, flowing. When he reached the king, he just fainted and fell to the ground. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. The king washed and covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood did not stop. So the king redressed, redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. The man felt better and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him to drink. By this time, the sun had set and the air was cool. It was dark now. The king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hermit's hut and carried the man and laid him on the bed. The king, tired by his walk and the work he had done, lay down on the floor and slept through the night. When he woke, it was several minutes before he could remember. He did not remember, and then finally suddenly struck him where he was, and who the strange bearded man was lying on his bed. He said, "Who is that man? I am on the ground. What is that?" "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw the king was awake. "I do not know you, and I have nothing to forgive you for. Why are you asking me forgiveness?" The king said, "You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore revenge, कसम खाई थी, who swore revenge, बदला लेने की कसम खाई थी, who swore revenge on you because you put my brother to death and seized my property. I had thought I will take revenge. I knew you had gone alone to see that hermit, and I made up mind to kill you on your way home. But the day passed and you did not return. So I left my hiding place and I came upon your bodyguard who recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from him, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wounds. I wish to kill you, but you have saved my life. I wish to kill you, but you have saved my life. Now, if I live, I will serve you as my most faithful servant and will order all my sons to do the same. forgive me, Majesty." The king was very happy. He was a good person, king. And he was very happy to make peace with his enemy so easily and to have won him over as a friend. He not only forgave him, but said he would send his servants and his own doctor to look after him. And he promised to give back the man his property. Leaving the wounded man, the king went out of the hut and looked round for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to get the answers to his 3 questions. The hermit was on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king went up to the hermit and said, "For the last time, I beg you to answer my questions, wise man." "You have already been answered," said the hermit, still bending down to the ground and looking up at the king as he stood before him. "How have I been answered? What do you mean?" "Do you not see?" replied the hermit. "If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, you would have gone away. Then that man would have attacked you and you would have wished you had stayed with me. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds. And I was the most important man. And to do me good was your most important business. Afterwards, when the man ran to us, the most important time was when you were caring for him. Because if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. So he was the most important man. And what you did for him was your most important business. Remember then, there is only one time that is important, and that is now. It is the most important time because it is the only time when we have any power to act. And the most important or necessary person is the person you are with at that particular moment. For no one knows what will happen in the future and whether we will meet anyone else. The most important business is to do that person good, because we were sent into the world for that person alone. So, I hope you enjoyed this story, and the lesson is that the most important thing to do is now. The present is the most important time. And to do good to whosoever is turning to you, wants your help, is the most important thing to do. Of course, if you're helping your parents when you're starting, when you're doing good things at home, you're helping your parents. So those things are the things which you're doing or at present to help others is the best thing that you're doing or the right thing that you're doing. And the best person is the person with whom you are at that moment. So children, read this lesson once again with the same, try to read. The more you read, the clearer it would become, and your pronunciation and your speech will also increase. Now we came across this. I thought I'll take up this word also before I end. Breathe and breath. Okay, so breath is noun, sans. Okay, it is a noun, and this is verb. You breathe. Okay, then breathe, breath, then bathe, bath, bath, again bathe is noun, bathe is verb, and this is noun. Since we came across this breathe, breath, so I thought I'll discuss this with you. Breathe, verb. Okay, when you want to use as a verb, breathing. Pronunciation is also breathing. You will not say breathing. Breathing and breath. And bathed. It was bathed in sunlight. That was bathing. Bathing, it will not bathing. Okay, bath is noun. When you say bath, it is noun. Okay, thank you.